In 2021, Apple quietly abandoned its electric car project after throwing a staggering $10 billion down the drain. Silicon Valley drew a definitive conclusion. Building a car company from scratch in the modern era was practically impossible. But at that exact same moment, in Beijing, a budget smartphone manufacturer was deciding to prove them wrong. And to do it, they treated Tesla's multi-million-dollar R&D department like an open-source library, stealing the tech, changing the scale, and leaving Elon Musk furious. In 2021, Xiaomi had never manufactured a single automotive component. Not a bolt, not a bracket, not a weld. By 2026, they were operating a 9,100-ton casting machine, the most powerful die casting press in civilian automotive production, and producing a complete car chassis in roughly 100 seconds flat. A process Tesla spent 6 years refining and hundreds of millions developing. Xiaomi just watched, learned, and then built something bigger. And here's the part that should bother you. On at least one critical dimension, they didn't just catch up, they got ahead of Tesla in manufacturing 5 years after making smartphones. Here's what this video is actually about. Not Xiaomi's success story, not another China's rise headline. What this is about is something more unsettling. The moment a company known for budget smartphones walked into the most capital-intensive industry on Earth and immediately threatened the one man who would spend a decade convincing the world that no one else could do what he was doing. Elon Musk built Tesla's manufacturing advantage on a simple but powerful idea. You cast a car like you cast a toy. One giant machine, one giant mold, one massive injection of molten aluminum. And instead of welding together hundreds of separate parts, you get a single structural piece. Fewer welds, fewer robots, fewer failure points, lower cost. He called it gigacasting. The automotive world called it impossible. Then gradually they called it the future. But they assumed Tesla owned that future. That was the mistake. And by the time anyone realized it, Xiaomi had already poured the mold. To understand what just happened, you need to understand what gigacasting actually solved and why everyone assumed it was impossible to replicate quickly. Before Tesla brought die casting to the center of car manufacturing, building a car body was more like assembling a jigsaw puzzle with several hundred pieces. You stamped sheet metal, welded sections together, bolted brackets to frames, and every seam was a potential weakness. Every weld, a labor cost. Every part, a supply chain vulnerability. The rear underbody of a Model 3, for example, was originally assembled from over 70 individual components. After Tesla introduced its Gigapress, built in partnership with Italian machinery manufacturer Hydra, that same section became a single cast part. The weight dropped, the assembly time dropped, the precision improved. Tesla wasn't just building cars more efficiently, they were redesigning what efficient meant. But here's where it gets strange. The machines required to do this are genuinely extraordinary and genuinely enormous. Gigapresses operate at clamping forces measured in thousands of tons. The Hydra machines Tesla uses run at around 6,000 tons of clamping force for the original rear underbody casting. To achieve the kind of part size needed for a full front and rear combined structural section, you need to push well past 9,000 tons. At those scales, the machinery isn't just large, it's structurally challenging to even house. You're not talking about a factory floor, you're talking about a building designed around a single machine. The tolerances become extreme. The aluminum alloys need to behave in very specific ways under heat and pressure, cooling at exactly the right rate to avoid warping or cracking. This is why the automotive industry assumed that replicating gigacasting was a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar process, even for established car manufacturers. BMW, Mercedes, Toyota, all of them were watching Tesla and quietly recalculating their timelines. None of them expected a smartphone company to skip the line entirely. Xiaomi's automotive ambitions went public in March 2021, when Lei Jun, the company's founder, announced they were entering the car business. The reaction in Western automotive circles ranged from amusement to open skepticism. Here was a company famous for inexpensive Android phones, air purifiers, and rice cookers, announcing they would build electric vehicles to compete with Tesla. The jokes wrote themselves. If Apple failed, how could Xiaomi succeed? But the joke stopped abruptly in early 2024. The SU7, Xiaomi's first production vehicle, launched and immediately sold out. Waiting lists stretched to months, undercutting everything in its class. But the car itself was just a distraction, because while the media was focusing on the vehicle, a corporate warfare operation was happening in the dark. And that brings us to the first major lie of this industrial war. The Western narrative loves to tell you that Xiaomi achieved this through pure domestic Chinese genius. It's a comforting lie. The dark truth is that Xiaomi bypassed decades of research by engineering a massive, silent exodus of elite Western talent. China didn't arrive at this capability purely through organic domestic innovation. The talent pipeline that fed Xiaomi's automotive ambitions and those of several other Chinese EV manufacturers was significantly filled from Europe. BMW and Mercedes, particularly in Germany, had been experiencing what industry analysts describe as a quiet but brutal exodus of experienced automotive engineers toward Chinese employers. The pay packages were exceptional, often doubling or tripling Western salaries overnight. The projects were technically ambitious in ways that traditional German automotive development was not. And then there was the pace, a pace that would be flat out illegal under Western labor laws. In China's technology sector, a work culture known informally as 996 has been both criticized and celebrated, working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. Applied to automotive engineering, that compresses development timelines in ways Western companies operating under standard labor conditions simply cannot match. A development cycle that takes 4 years in Germany might take 2 in China, not because the engineers are better, but because there are more of them, working more hours under greater urgency. The clock never really stops. Some of the engineers who moved brought with them decades of institutional knowledge, advanced materials, chassis dynamics, manufacturing processes refined over careers at the most sophisticated car companies in the world. The flow of technical talent from European automotive centers to Chinese EV programs represents one of the most significant and least discussed technology transfers of the past decade. No industrial espionage required, just better job offers. But having the best German engineers and forcing them to work 12 hours a day still wasn't enough to beat Elon Musk. To run a 9,100-ton machine without cracking the metal, you need to break the laws of physics. And that's where China deployed a weapon that Western car makers are legally barred from using. To make hypercasting work, Xiaomi needed a material that didn't exist, an alloy that could cool instantly without warping, completely skipping the slow, energy-expensive heat treatment that everyone else relies on. Aluminum die casting at extreme pressures is not simple metallurgy. The alloy has to flow correctly into the mold, fill complex geometries without trapping air bubbles, and then cool in a controlled way that produces the right microstructure, not too brittle, not too soft. Tesla spent significant time and resources developing its own proprietary aluminum alloys for gigacasting, the specific formulations of which are trade secrets. Xiaomi developed their own, internally referred to as Xiaomi Titan Metal. Instead of spending years in a lab, Xiaomi's R&D teams used an advanced state-backed AI simulation system to test over 10 million distinct alloy formulas in a fraction of the time. The specifics of its composition haven't been published, as you'd expect for something this commercially sensitive. What has been disclosed is its performance profile. High strength, high ductility, designed specifically for the thermal and pressure conditions of the hypercasting process. Here's what that actually means for a car. The subframe structure that emerges from this process is a single integrated piece, handling crash load distribution, suspension mounting points, and structural rigidity all at once. What would previously require dozens of separate stamped and welded parts becomes one object, and one object has no seams to fatigue, no welds to crack under repeated stress, no tolerance errors stacking up across 20 different suppliers. To an engineer at a traditional automotive company, that is both impressive and deeply alarming, because the cost math changes completely when you remove that many steps from the process. But this isn't just a threat to legacy car makers. This is a direct shot at Tesla's primary defense system. For most of its existence, Tesla's manufacturing innovation was its primary competitive moat. Not the software, not the brand, those mattered, but competitors could develop software and build brands. The manufacturing process was harder to replicate. You couldn't just buy the knowledge. You needed the machines, the alloys, the process expertise, the institutional experience of building thousands of cars and learning from every failure. Xiaomi compressed that learning curve dramatically, and they did it in a market, China, where Tesla has been fighting for share against increasingly sophisticated competition from BYD, Huawei-backed brands, NIO, and now Xiaomi itself. The SU7 wasn't just a product launch, it was a signal. And the hypercasting platform underneath Xiaomi's next generation of vehicles is not a technical footnote. It is the manufacturing foundation that allows them to build structurally sophisticated vehicles at cost structures that European and American manufacturers cannot easily match. Tesla's gigacasting advantage took years to build and was genuinely transformative. Xiaomi looked at that advantage, identified exactly what made it work, and then built a version that was larger, not slightly larger, meaningfully larger, enough to cast a structural section in a single shot that Tesla's current production process still completes in two pieces. That gap is not cosmetic. A two-piece rear structure requires an additional joining operation, additional tooling, additional quality control. A single-piece casting eliminates all of that. It's a simpler, lighter, potentially stronger result. Tesla has been working towards single-piece full underbody casting, but getting there requires solving exactly the engineering problems that Xiaomi has now apparently already solved. Think about that for a moment. The student handed in the answer before the teacher finished writing the question. But Elon Musk isn't a man who accepts humiliation quietly, and that brings us to the final, terrifying dilemma of this global race. The Western narrative about China's technology industry for the last 20 years was built on a specific assumption. Chinese companies were fast followers, good at manufacturing what others invented, skilled at cost reduction, but the fundamental breakthroughs, the genuinely new things, came from Silicon Valley, from German engineering labs, from Japanese precision manufacturing culture. Tesla was the ultimate expression of that narrative. An American company founded in California, led by a South African-born entrepreneur who had already disrupted one established industry, now doing the same to automotive manufacturing. The Gigapress was the physical embodiment of Silicon Valley thinking applied to heavy industry. Audacious, effective. And for a while, it looked unreachable. The dark truth of this story isn't that Xiaomi stole something, it's that they didn't have to. Unlimited state-backed capital. A talent market willing to pay European engineers exceptionally well. Machinery manufacturers who had been building toward this capability for years. An engineering workforce operating at a pace that compressed years into months. That combination produced something the old narrative said wasn't possible. A smartphone company, 5 years into automotive, running a more powerful casting machine than Tesla. The manufacturing advantage that Elon Musk built, the wall the industry spent years treating as structurally permanent, just got a very large crack in it. And what's on the other side of that wall is still coming. So where does that leave things? Tesla is not collapsing. Let's be clear about that. They remain the most recognizable EV brand outside of China. They have a global manufacturing footprint, a software and data infrastructure that Xiaomi will take years to match, and an energy business that is becoming increasingly significant. In North America and Europe, Xiaomi is not yet a presence. But the world's largest automotive market is China. And in China, Xiaomi is competing directly for the same urban professional buyer that Tesla had been successfully cultivating for a decade. The SU7's success in that market was already concerning. The manufacturing platform Xiaomi is building underneath their next generation of products, if costs hold and quality scales, creates structural price pressure that is very hard to compete against. The kind of pressure that doesn't announce itself. It just slowly makes the numbers not work for everyone else. European automakers are watching all of this from a particularly difficult position. They don't yet have gigacasting at scale. They are still building cars the way cars have been built for decades. Hundreds of stamped parts, extensive welding, enormous assembly complexity. Against a Xiaomi chassis that comes out of a mold in one piece, that process starts to look less like a different approach and more like a liability. The companies most exposed are not the ones that ignored electric vehicles. Most of them have been investing in EV platforms for years. The companies most exposed are the ones that assumed the manufacturing revolution Tesla started would stay in Western hands long enough to adapt. That assumption is now clearly wrong. What happens next is genuinely uncertain. Xiaomi has announced plans to scale production significantly. The Hypercasting platform is not a one-off demonstration, it's the manufacturing basis for a vehicle lineup that is expected to expand. Their second model, aimed at the premium segment, reportedly pushes further on the casting architecture. Lei Jun has made no secret of his ambition to become a top 5 global automaker. 5 years ago, that would have sounded like the kind of aspirational statement that tech founders make and rarely keep. Today, with a production facility running, a casting technology ahead of the current Tesla deployment, and a proprietary alloy under development, it sounds considerably more credible. Tesla, for its part, has been working on what it calls the unboxed manufacturing process, a fundamental redesign of how a car is assembled, moving away from a traditional linear production line toward a more modular approach where large subassemblies come together simultaneously. It's ambitious. It may ultimately prove more transformative than casting alone, but it is still developmental, still being proven, still years from full deployment. In the meantime, a company that made phones is building car frames that their direct competitors don't yet know how to make. The manufacturing advantage that Elon Musk built and that the industry spent years treating as a kind of structural wall, that wall has a crack in it now, and nobody's quite sure how deep it goes. The question isn't whether Xiaomi can compete anymore. They already are. The question is whether anyone else saw this coming fast enough to do anything about it. What do you think made this possible? Was it the talent pipeline, the machinery, the pace, or something that runs deeper than all of it? Drop it in the comments. Because the answers people give on this one are genuinely split, and I want to know where you land. Thanks for watching.